hi, there we are. Within the United States, we see subcultures on the daily, like punks with leather jackets, hippies that hang out at kava bars, and the biker gangs that you see on the highway with their very loud motorcycles. But did you know there is a fairly new subculture that is making its way to America? A subculture that was founded in Japan with beautifully intricate designs, dollish outfits, and a strong motive behind it. This subculture is called Lolita, and today I will be talking about Lolita fashion. In this speech, I'm going to explain the common misconceptions about Lolita fashion. Next, I will explain the main concepts of what Lolita is and how it is different from other subcultures. Finally, I will explain how Lolita fashion got started. So, to start off, in the beginning of the speech, when I first said the words Lolita, you probably thought of the famous book written under the same name, written by Vladimir Nabokov in 1955, in which an older man seduces a younger girl and gives her the nickname Lolita. Thankfully, the book has no correlation with the Lolita that we are talking about. Lolita, in fashion terms, was adopted because the style is European in nature, and so they chose a word that sounded European. Though people that don't know this take one look of a Lolita's design and making negative connotations about it, about how it looks childish. But it is far from it. Usually, when people see Lolita dresses, most would think it's a costume, but in fact, it's far from it. Lolita outfits are like the jeans and t-shirts we wear every single day. Their outfits are as daily as ours. It is in no way a costume. Now that we have the misconceptions out of the way, the next detail for Lolita is that there are many things that Lolita is. There are many categories that Lolita has branched off to. But as you can see here, things that stick out is a heavy inspiration from Victorian and Roku style dresses with the big puffy petticoats with the ribbon and lace. Rococo is characterized by elaborate ornamental styles of the Baroque period and from 18th century continental Europe. The dresses that you see here have a very cute aesthetic, which coincides with Japan's rising of cute culture and seems to be straight out of what a porcelain doll would wear. The common categories for Lolita is sweet with the bright pink and candy themes that are very soft in nature, and then gothic, which have darker themes and the main colors are black and red, and classic, which is primarily Victorian and Rococo with little to no major influences. But there are many more categories, like punk, school, aristocrat, steampunk, and country. Lastly, Lolita fashion has a history of motives behind it, and with how Lolita started, we have to go back to the 1970s in a thesis written by Waldemar Sardati in 2015 titled Fashion Subcultures in Japan. He stated that women start to dress in cute, frilly dresses that were childlike in nature, giving way to a trend called otomeke. In Japanese, otome means maiden and young girl, and the outfits in otomeke were very girly and cute, and were quite different from how Japanese citizens dressed back in the day. Otome was how Japanese citizens dressed back in the day, thus sparking a new movement and trend. In the 1980s, Japan had a rise of cute culture. Anna Hara documented in a book named Japan as Fashion in 2011, with Sanrio opening up with Hello Kitty and Japanese high school girls writing in a very cutesy handwriting style. The fashion of otomeke and cuteness culture helped people escape into the childhood pleasures and ignore pressures of adulthood, and helped women grasp back onto their femininity. In the shopping district in Japan named Harajuku, clothing stores such as Milk, Angelic Pretty, and Pink House were producing the first brands of Lolita fashion in the late 70s. Wakatamura Unia's book, titled Harajuku, The Youth in Silent Rebellion, it was documented that the first instance of the name Lolita was used in a magazine titled Ryoko Shushin in 1987, which the magazine was describing the fashion produced by these bands, so formally giving the fashion trend a name. But when Lolita started to gain popularity in the form of Japanese pop bands using the style, Lolita started to gain popularity. Leia Atkinson wrote in her book, Down the Rabbit Hole, she said it was making it more mainstream and accepted in Japanese culture. In 2001, the book Gothic and Lolita Bible was written and translated into English in the same year, which soon gave way to America learning about Lolita fashion and adopting it into their culture. Today, I hope you learned something about a new subculture that is making its way to America. And to summarize what you have learned, Lolita fashion takes heavy inspiration from Victorian and Rococo style dresses and comes in many different forms. Lolita fashion started out as a movement for adults to escape into their childhood pleasures and ignore the societal pressures that Japan had. And that Lolita has no correlation with Vladimir Nabokov's 1955 book. So the next time that you look at a punk with a leather jacket, hippie at a kava bar, or the biker gangs in the highway that you see with their loud motorcycles, you'll be just as curious of their subculture. Thank you.